day because it was so amazing, and that's the power of music. And that's the first time I saw and heard the beautiful voice of Crystal Asige, who is our celeb of the day. Welcome to the show, Crystal.
Thanks a lot for inviting me. I appreciate it.
That song, my goodness, it was beautiful. It was sort of a debut of the soul generation, for me at least. What was that experience like, just to start our conversation?
The experience of producing,
and working with a group.
It was an eye-opener for sure. Again, you get to learn a lot about, how Sauti Sol works, how they strategize, the kind of effort they put into each artist. It was just a real eye-opener. And also, of course, the label itself, Soul Generation, the management, how they treat their teams. It was just, for me, it was just a really big eye-opener, and I've learned a lot, which, of course, I'll be taking forward in my future, wherever it is that I end up going. Yeah.
Now, basically, you are an artist, and a lot of people know you from that song. There's some people who know you as a producer. Some know you, I guess, from your time studying theater and film.
Yeah.
I mean, could you take us to the journey where you discovered that this is who you are? Was it as a kid, as a teenager? When did you discover that art was your thing?
I discovered when I was a kid, I think. That's when I realized that I loved being creative. I enjoyed independent thought. I enjoyed getting what is in my mind, what's in my imagination, and trying to put it out to the world in a creative and fun and an interesting way for people to consume. I started writing poetry. And then I also used to like singing when I was a kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Cool.
And so when I discovered that you can just sing a poem and it becomes a song, and I was like, oh, okay, that's
so
cool.
This is how it works.
Correct, yeah. So then I entered myself into drama festivals, musical theater shows at school, poetry recitals, etc. And then after that, when I went to university, is when I realized you could actually make money from doing music. Because I used to see people going to like karaoke nights. They have like their hat there, like throw in some few pennies, some few coins. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. As people like actually, you can just sing someone else's song, and then you can get, someone just gives you exactly for no reason, just like that, because they are enjoying what you're doing and sharing with them. So that's how I sort of discovered that. I love the arts, and just carried on doing it until this moment right now.
Cool. So you then progressed to actually pursue it in your career. You actually decided, but I'm interested in where your passion deeply lies. Is it the visual arts? Is it music? Is it poetry? What is it that tugs to your heartstrings?
Anything that is expressive is what tugs my heartstrings. That's why I am sort of faceted. I don't just write and sing music, but I'm also, like you said, a producer. I also have my YouTube channel, Blind Girl Maneno, so I'm a YouTuber. I enjoy public speaking and, doing talks at all kinds of forums to all types of people of all kinds of ages and titles. I'm also a disability consultant, and so I advocate for people with disabilities like myself. So any way that someone
You're basically a cyborg, a talent cyborg. You can do it. You can do it all.
Some kind of like crazy woman. But it's like, why not? Why not? I mean, you're here, you're on Earth, and you've been given all these abilities and opportunities to explore your abilities. So why not? Because there's a quote that I really love that says, the unreasonable man adapts to the world, but the unreasonable man makes the world adapt to them. So I don't want to be reasonable. I want to be unreasonable. Yes, and that's how anything has ever happened in the world. Because people invent things. They're like, you're crazy. Why do you think you can invent a light bulb? And then here we are. How can you think you can invent a phone that can talk to somebody across the world?
You can imagine whoever invented the phone was like, I want to talk to someone in the US.
Exactly. And people were probably like,
are you okay? Maybe we should get you checked. But then it happened, and we are crazy. We can't put these things down.
You have to be unreasonable. You have to be unapologetic. You have to just, go for what is in your heart and in your mind, and then see what happens. Because if you don't do what you've been put on earth to do, because we're all here for a purpose and on purpose. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, right, on this show, people who are watching will not be able to pull anything out of that and then be inspired to do something they're supposed to do. It's like a domino effect. We're all connected on this earth. So
it is a domino effect, and it points to the value of the arts.
Yes.
We come from societies that have been literally trained to think that arts is the thing on the side, the hobby. So when you're busy standing on the coffee table and singing your heart out at 3, you're probably told, can you shut up?
Yeah, do that later.
Finish
do
your homework. Exactly, yeah. But then there's a sense that I think other nations have discovered this, that you can nurture that talent and even focus on that and other things be damned.
Yes,
so
yes.
It would take a lot of support in the African setup to actually make it to the various artistic industries. So how did you find your tribe?
Thank God I'm in a family who are very, like I said, open-minded. That's why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own personality and everyone is allowed to express their personality in my family, you know. Nobody is, has been like, pushed down or told like, you sit here, you're too much, you're too big, you're too loud. It's like my parents have always been able to just let everyone be themselves.
Right.
And so we carried that forward. All of us did. And so my first tribe was definitely my family. Then my second tribe, I mean, you find people in school, high school, university, who you think, you're going to gel with and you have the same sort of interest and stuff.
Yeah.
But as you continue to grow and to evolve as a human being, people drop off.
Yeah.
For me personally, it wasn't just that, it was because of my visual impairment that people sort of like disappeared.
Because you started off, for those who have been living under the rock, Crystal was seeing when she was younger, up until 14 years old, when you were diagnosed with glaucoma, which is a degenerative condition where you lose your eyesight over time.
A long period of time.
And I didn't want to focus on that because I think you've spoken a lot about it. So this information is out there, but if you want to touch on it, it's okay.
Oh, no. I was just going to carry on and say that my tribe, like I was saying, at some point I thought it was my friendship circles at that time. But then I feel as though the visual impairment also became like a filter. It kept like the strongest roots of my tree intact, and then all the branches that were, weak, the leaves that are weak, like fell off.
It's a basic form, it's some sort of pruning that happened.
Correct. Which needed to happen for me to, I guess, get to this point, because you're not going to be able to fly if you have things weighing your wings down.
That is true, and I saw that on your Instagram page. There was a meme of that sort. Now, then you found the people that you need, but then you need the education system. So at the time you're going to film school, you are not... You were not completely, or you still had a sense of vision more than right now. Yeah, so how did you go about it? I'm interested in your artistic process because you're doing theatre, you're performing, you were producing. Tell me a bit about that. So
when I went to university, obviously I declared myself with partially sighted at the time, because like you said, I had some sight. And so lecturers and staff, faculty members were very helpful. They used to give me all support that I needed. As well, I was able to go to orientation and mobility training in the city that I was studying. And then also, I just was able to, because of the visual impairment, when you lose something, other things grow. Okay? So... They're enhanced, sort of. Correct. So it actually assisted me to become more creative, to have more critical thinking, to be more of an independent thinker as well, to be like, okay, I can't do this, but how can I go around it to be able to do it the best that I can? And so it gives you actually more of an opportunity to access more channels of your brain and become more creative. And so I was like, okay, I love film, I love theatre, I love acting, I love singing. I don't want to stop. It's in my heart, and I feel like God has put me here for that reason, right? So how can I still continue to do the same? Just found ways around it. It's sometimes I'm a bit slower. Sometimes I need a bit more patience from the team around me. But so long as they're the right people who understand that, okay, Crystal has something in her imagination, she's trying to put it out. And also it helps me as well communicate much better, because I've got to use language to be like, okay, I want this shot I want myself in the left third. I want it to be this way. The color grading should be like this. And then I also
black
use
and white. And
I use what I also used to be able to see as reference. So videos from before, YouTube channels from before, movies from before. Like, do you remember Titanic? That scene when so and so did this, something like that. And then they're like, okay, they get it. So my communication has also become much better. Nice,
which actually plays to how you're able to execute today, and you, with your ongoing projects, I'd say then your influence is real. It's not just somebody else coming in to produce and put things together, and then you showing up to sing, right?
And that's why I just sometimes I'm a bit like overprotective about my work,
because you wanted to reflect.
Because I really want, I need it to, because it's my expression. There's no other way that I can express myself visually apart from when somebody helps me to do that video or that scene in a play, the way I see it in my head.
Absolutely.
So that's why I need people
now
who understand.
Speaking of your project, there's Lenga. Tell us about that song.
Yes, thank you. Lenga is my single, my first single of this year. And basically it talks about aiming. Lenga, the original meaning, of course, is to aim, but then also the sheng meaning is to avoid. So it sort of plays on the two. My love for poetry. Correct. That's why I sort of was like, let me just play with the words. But generally, it's just talking about, you know what, you can do anything that you want. Kipchoge told us the other day, no human is limited.
Limitless.
In fact, I need to meet that guy. We should start a hashtag.
Yes.
Crystal meets Eliud. Exactly. Because I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm always trying to tell people with my life, with my art, with my creativity, that you're not limited at all. It's only imagination that limits you. Otherwise, the greatest of people have all that I have. They've got 2 legs, they've got 2 arms, they've got a brain, and they were able to reach the heights that they've reached. So it's like, why not me and why not you? So Lenga is about the same thing. And not to let people like hold you down. Don't let people tell you what you can and cannot do, because they're not in your mind, they're not in your body. They don't know the assignment that you've been given.
I saw a post by Yvonne Okwara this morning that said people around you are the ones who know the least about you, but sometimes the little things they say, they affect you in such a huge way. So why don't you just ignore them, because they have no idea who you are. So if you want to,
it gets difficult to obviously ignore the people that you think are fighting for you in your corner. But you also have to have a moment where you're like, you know what, I came in this world by myself, and I also have to think for myself. Don't just let all of your opinions come from other people. Also use your own sense of direction and be like, okay, they've said this and they've said that, but what have I been given in my heart, and what have I been told? Because they don't know what my assignment is.
That is true.
And so
we all have a sort of GPS inward built by God that actually guides us on how we go about.
And when you rely on other people's opinions too much, you totally get lost.
Because they're focusing on their own.
Everyone has their own self-interest in mind. Every single person.
No. Let's take a look to drive that point home. Let's listen to Lenga, and then we can come back to the conversation.